256.0106 from 1 right, cleared for takeoff.
1 right, clear to go, yeah, your practice.
Cleared 4461, 1 right, left and white.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Flightcast live on location at the Epps Aviation Hangar here at Warbird Weekend at PDK in Atlanta, Georgia. We are here this weekend honoring the Tuskegee Airmen, and this live episode is brought to you by Flying Development Studio, the makers of the mobile flight simulator Infinite Flight.
Mm-hmm.
With me, as always, is my beautiful co-host, Mr. Mark Skyhawk Heavy Denton.
What's going on, man?
Hey, man.
It's been a great week.
It has been a great week, and I am pumped right now.
Oh, absolutely, but you forgot to introduce Steven.
Oh, here's Steven, our producer.
Yeah, okay. Now we can move on.
Here we go. All right, so joining us today is one of the legendary Tuskegee Airmen.
Yes.
So with us today is Mr. Hill Pouncey.
That is correct.
Very nice to meet you, sir, and welcome to Flightcast.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Take us there, Mark.
Well, first of all, again, we can't say thank you enough for taking some time to join us today, talking with us, but also thank you for your service.
Quite welcome.
That cannot be said enough. Thank you for that. And it is such an honor for all three of us to be able to sit down and speak with you and the other members. So again, thank you.
Definitely. And we have this huge Canadian flag or American flag behind us. I'm from Canada. So
From Canada?
Yes, sir. And so Mark, thanks you for your service. But
I had to sneak him in.
But I do too, because our countries are neighbors, and life wouldn't be the same had people like you not made your sacrifices that you did. So thank you. What do we want to talk about, Mark?
Well,
I don't even know where to start.
You and I were just talking a few moments ago, and you said that you were 2 weeks away.
Just about.
2 weeks away almost from completing flight school.
A pilot.
Becoming a pilot. And so what happened from there?
After I was no longer a pilot, I was given an opportunity to go to either navigation school or bombardier school. And bombardier position was open, so I went to bombardier school down in Midland, Texas.
Okay.
And after several months, I was graduated the last of the year in December as a second lieutenant and a bombardier.
What plane did you normally fly in?
We were assigned to the 477, and they were assigned B-25s.
Okay.
Yes.
Which is probably the B-17 is a beautiful plane, but the B-25 is probably one of my favorite bombers.
Well, I had a friend, an Army sergeant, and he loved the B-25. He said he was doing a lot of work over in the Pacific.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. At one time, the B-25 had a navigator and a bombardier in the crew. So the Army decided that maybe what they should do is train the bombardiers to be navigators and the navigators to be bombardiers, and they wouldn't need but one person. And they would have a smaller crew and still just be as efficient.
Wow.
So they usually, the bombardier, of course, set up in the front of the plane.
Right.
On a can of ammunition. And you know what? The bombardier was always the first guy to get there, wherever you were going.
Always, because you're right there in the front.
Yes.
So, wow. I mean, so you were cross-trained as the navigator and the bombardier.
Navigator and bombardier, mostly bombardier.
Mostly
I finished
bombardier.
bombardier training.
Okay. And it was in the 25.
The B-25s, that's right.
Absolutely. That's the plane down here. It's 2 engines.
2 engines.
Yeah,
engines,
actually,
tails.
we had a B-25 at our local air
That's
show
right. I
up in
remember you
Canada
telling me
last
that.
year
Okay.
at the fly-in, yeah.
When the American bombed Tokyo early in the war,
Mm-hmm.
that was the plane that did it.
The
They
B-25.
flew
Oh,
off
really?
the
The
carrier.
Doolittle Raiders.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I have to explain things to him.
Okay. And of course, he explained things to both of us.
That's it.
There you go.
So, one of the things about just the story of the Tuskegee Airmen are the challenges that everyone faced. What are some of the challenges or the struggles that you faced going through the pilot training, and then, of course, probably as the bombardier as well?
Well, as doing training as a Tuskegee Airman, I don't think there were too many problems.
Okay.
We were black at a black school, a black atmosphere.
Okay.
And the military people are pretty smart. The initial training, primary training, 90% of the instructors were black. So a black cadet gets in the plane with a black instructor, you kind of feel at ease already.
Right.
So they did that. Now they did have some white instructors. They were sometimes check rides, but they were part of it. But most of us were black in a black atmosphere, black school, black girls. It was mostly black at Tuskegee.
I live just north of Mobile, Alabama.
I was born in Mobile. I was born in Pritchard.
In Pritchard. Oh, wow. So you know where Satsuma is?
No, they
Okay.
took me away when I was a baby and all, so I never saw
So
much of
you've
it.
got Pritchard, and then you've got Chickasaw, Saraland, Satsuma. It's all within a couple of miles of each other.
Yes.
So yes, I know right where all that is.
Well, I'm glad to meet you.
He's from Mobile.
You're from Mobile?
He's
oh, wow.
from Mobile.
Nice.
So on my way up here, of course, I passed Tuskegee, and I took a picture, and I said it was pretty cool because I'm coming to Atlanta to interview with the Tuskegee Airmen while passing Tuskegee, and I'm on the Tuskegee Airmen Memorial Highway. I just thought that was very cool.
Yes.
Mhm.
They gave it that name, I guess, about 6 or 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And just a couple of days ago, they had a lot of people there with some of the Tuskegee Airmen, and they took more pictures of it.
Really?
So somehow you'll probably see some more pictures sometime soon, I hope.
I think I have the picture. If I still have the picture, I'll show it to you before you leave. But how many missions did you actually get to fly?
None. We were in training.
Right.
I was being converted from a bombardier to a bombardier navigator.
Right.
We were taking navigation at Monroe, Louisiana.
Mm-hmm. Been there.
Field. And we went up one night to look at the stars, check out this constellation. And I think the next day war was over. So we had a choice of finishing the school or going home. I elected to go home, so
Right.
I did not become a navigator.
Wow, and that was some old school navigation though. When you're out there navigating with the stars and
Yes.
wow. Any kind of particular stories that you would like to share? Be willing to share with our listeners? Anything that's
The
very
only
memorable?
story I would like to tell is when we were taking primary training.
Mm-hmm.
We took primary training in a plane called a BT-13. It's a very noisy plane, and you could put it in low prop. It makes all kind of noises. If you fly over the chicken house, the chicken will stop laying for 2 weeks. And if you go over the dairy barn, the cows will stop giving milk for a day or two. That was a noisy plane. And toward the end of training, in basic training with this BT-13, the instructor said you have about a couple of hours. Fly cross country, but stay within the flying area
Right.
and use up those hours that you need for finishing. So my mother's house was in the area. So another cadet, I won't call his name so I won't incriminate him. I said, let's go to my house. And I went to my house, my shack. It really was a shack. And I saw the house, and we went in over it, saw nothing. Circle, came back a little bit lower, saw nothing. And on the third go around, I saw my mother and my sister standing under the old chinaberry tree with their arms folded, and they didn't move. And I was, showing off. So I went back and I wrote them a letter. We didn't have a telephone.
Right.
I said, I was down there last Thursday. You guys didn't see me?
You didn't
We
see
saw
me.
you all right. I said, well, why didn't you wave? They said, we thought that thing was going to fall and kill us all. So that was a little bit off the record, but enjoyed it.
But that's all, and that's very memorable. Very memorable. When I was getting my pilot's license,
Yes.
and with part of the training, you have to do something similar. It turns about a point
Yes.
to basically hold the position using one central point. And it was funny. I was way out in the country doing these in our practice area, if you will.
Just when you're timing your turns?
In a way, but it's basically trying to do turns about a point, maintaining the same distance around that single point.
Without losing or gaining altitude.
And you're having to constantly adjust for the changing winds and all that. So I found a house that looked empty. I didn't see any cars there. So I said, I'll just use this. So I found this house, and I circle 2, 3, 4 times, and I'm probably at around 3,000 feet. About that 4th time that I was done, I see somebody come out. Because at 3,000 feet, you can still see pretty good the people. And I look down, because as I'm doing a left bank, and I'm looking down, and all of a sudden I see somebody walk out, and I see them raise up like that, and I saw the reflection of a barrel. So I just went ahead and broke the turn and went out the other way.
Point received.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me use your house. I'm gone.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Jason, do you have anything? Or
I mean, my questions were similar to Mark's, and I was interested in hearing the stories. Of course, what you're known for the most, the Tuskegee Airmen, is being the first group of African American pilots to have graduated from the Air Force Academy. Is this what it was? Can you clear this up for us?
Say that again. What
This
academy?
is the Air Force Academy.
Army.
Or it was Army. Okay.
Army.
Point.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just looking for a story about how you fit in with that sort of graduating group.
How do I best tell that? You go to college, see, and you have juniors, seniors, sophomores, and freshmen. You know them, you see them, but really, you are with your class. Those are the people you really know. You are with these other guys, but you don't get to know them. You get to know the people within your class. So the best thing I can say, I knew my classmates, but the guys in front of me, I never really got to know them. I would see them and know their name, but I didn't know them.
Okay. And did you serve with your classmates after that?
Well, I didn't graduate with my classmates. See, my classmates graduated on time, some of them, and they went to combat. I almost graduated. I was 2 weeks from graduation, and I didn't make it. I was sent to bombardier school.
Oh yes. Okay. Got it.
I think you were
And my
handling some
classmates,
technical
the ones
issues.
that graduate, they went on and took their training, and they went overseas, and they went to combat. And they did a very good job.
Very good job.
Some of them finished the job and came back in one piece. Others paid a big price, and they
Yes.
didn't come back.
Yeah.
The ultimate prize.
Yes.
So
it's always a little give and take in life. I lost out. I didn't become a flying pilot. I'm still alive.
Yes.
and you've been able to be with your family, and
That's correct.
more importantly, you've been able to come here and meet us today.
That's right.
What a blessing that's
What
been.
a blessing that is.
So what after the military, what was life like for you?
After what now?
After the military.
After the military, yes. I went back to school. I was a sophomore during the war, and the war was pretty rough. And we knew sooner or later most people were going to go. Most able-bodied men were going to go.
Right.
And if you volunteered and tried to get into what you want to get in, maybe that's a little better than waiting until you're being drafted and going somewhere you didn't want to go. So I wanted to fly, and the Tuskegee Airmen flying school was on Tuskegee's campus. It was run by Tuskegee. And I would see these cadets marching, and they would really march and strut. And also I noticed, just incidentally, I noticed that the girls kind of liked the Tuskegee. That was just incidental.
They kind of gravitated toward
So
the
that,
pilots.
also encouraged me to go. But you had to have excellent health. And initially, to become an airman, a flying cadet, you had to have 2 years of college and certain mathematics courses. Later on, it was a little different. If you took the examination, and if you passed the examination, you could be accepted. But you must have good health and a pretty good mind to
Oh,
become
well, I would have been out on the mind part.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
So that's absolutely crazy. Have you been back to Tuskegee since?
I go back quite frequently. I live only a couple of hours from Tuskegee,
Okay.
so I go back. Tuskegee was very kind to me. I earned 2 degrees from Tuskegee.
Wow.
I married a lovely woman from Tuskegee. We lived together 60-some years. She's gone now, and we had 1 son together. So I have no regrets of my life at Tuskegee. Just that I have no regrets of my life as a Tuskegee Airman.
Wow. My son, like I said, he's 12, and he's developed that passion for aviation, and World War II aviation is his favorite, of course, and Tuskegee Airmen being his favorite squadron. And he's getting to that age now. I've got to take him to Tuskegee. I've just got to take him. That's where he wants to go.
Well, go to Moulton Field, and you will see where 95% of all the Tuskegee Airmen actually got started. You'll see
At that field.
Yes.
Flown
It's
over it.
It's a national historical site now.
Yep. There's a big sign right on the interstate telling you how to get there.
Yeah, you get on the highway and it says Tuskegee Airmen. I don't remember.
Well, it
the
says
number.
Tuskegee Historic Site, or it's something, but there is other signs that say Tuskegee Airmen as well,
Yes,
and
you see,
it directs
it's
you
only
to.
about 4 or 5 minutes off the highway.
Yeah.
So you can't miss it.
And it's crazy because I've been by there I don't know how many times, driving back and forth to
Take
Atlanta,
5 minutes to go over there.
and I've flown over it a bunch of times
Yes.
doing cross-country flights and all that, so I definitely need to stop in there. But Jason, anything?
No, I think we're good. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today
My pleasure.
and for sharing your stories. It's been our pleasure.
Yes.
Good luck to you.
Same
Thank
here.
you so
and,
much.
Good luck to you.
my son.
You're very quiet.
He's our producer.
Yeah. My son, though he couldn't be here, wanted me to tell each one of y'all hello, and he wished he could be here. So, and thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And to our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been one of the Tuskegee Airmen, Mr. Pouncey.
Pouncey.
Bill Pouncey.
Bill Pouncey.
And we've loved having you here, so thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. We are live at Peachtree DeKalb Airport, PDK, for Warbird Weekend. And this episode's been brought to you by Flying Development Studio, makers of the mobile flight sim Infinite Flight. We will see you in the next interview. Thanks so much for
Thank you.
joining us. Happy landings, everybody.